Hello and welcome to Dan and Darragh Do Ability. This is episode 6. I'm Darragh McNicholas.
And I'm Dan Airy.
You can get us on Facebook at Dan and Darragh Do Ability. You can get us on Instagram and Twitter at Dan and Darragh Do Ability as well. And if you want to drop us a line, you can get us at dananddarraghdoability@gmail.com. So if there's anything you want us to cover, you can find us there. Dan, coming up today, we are going to be talking about the International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
Yeah, that's coming up on Monday, December 3rd.
Just around the corner. And we are also going to be having a look back at something we recorded at the Disabled Drivers Motor Show.
Yeah, I had the opportunity to talk with Marie Nolan from Tallaght back at the Disabled Drivers Motor Show in the RDS in September. And Marie uses a mobility scooter to get around. And I had a chat with her and I asked her about the importance of her mobility scooter in her daily life.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Marie Nolan. I'm a 64-year-old female living in the Tallaght area, and I'm very privileged to be here today in the Ballsbridge area for the motor show and the mobility show. I'm talking to two lovely gentlemen. One is named Dan, and he's from the IT college in Tallaght. And you asked me would I be able to tell him about myself as a disabled female and to be able to talk about why I'm so important to have a scooter in my life.
So, Marie, what kind of independence would having a scooter give to you on a daily basis?
Well, Dan, I wouldn't have to wait around on buses. And if I see a lady with children, it means I have to step back and let the lady with the child on the bus if it's a cold afternoon. And then I have to go along and maybe wait for the next bus. Where if I had my scooter, I'd be able to get up in the morning, get showered, have my breakfast, get on my scooter and on my bike. Like I'd be in my granny's, to be honest with you, Dan, because it'd give me a great sense of independence and it would also take away this disability that I got caused by a drunk driver. 34 years ago, I was a victim of a drunk driver, and I'm definitely paying for it today. I've lost my mobility, my dancing days are over, I have to wear special shoes by the orthopedic footwear, I have to wear surgical stockings. Is there anything else?
So I suppose it would give you less restriction. There would be less immediate restriction with the scooter. It would just allow you to live your life according to you. Is that?
Yes, it would indeed, Dan. If I had a scooter, I would be very, very independent. I would be able to go into the supermarket. I would be able to pick up my shopping, place my bag underneath my feet and turn the key in my scooter and drive home and drive back out to do my shopping the following day. I would be so independent, and I don't see why the HSE don't look at a situation like this and realise. Now it's the same with my obesity. Let's say if I suffer with obesity and I'm waiting to go to a clinic, if my doctor was to see that beforehand, it would have fitted the situation, where if I had a scooter 30 something years ago, I wouldn't be in the situation I'm in today. I'm walking along the paths are in a very bad condition, and I'm sure you see it yourself being a wheelchair user. So they should make it more acceptable for people like us.
I completely agree, and I think listening to your story about the buses, I know from my perspective, if I'm waiting for a bus and then they turn up and there's no more spaces left, it can be very frustrating, and you'd want to kind of speak up and say this is, unacceptable. Have you had any encounters with, like, where you've kind of spoken up, so to speak, about, this is kind of unacceptable?
Well, that's happening very shortly now because Dublin Bus has been taken over by a new company. And our buses are not coming into our estate. So it means we're going to have to walk down to an area like Kiltipper or Old Bond to get a bus to take us to the square, and then from the square into Trinity College, which means we're going to be left standing in the middle of winter. Elderly, disabled, mobility is going to really, really suffer. And this is where if people had scooters, they could just get up and take off.
Yeah, 100%. And I heard recently about a new, there's a possibility of a new legislation coming in about people who use buggies in wheelchair spots on buses getting fined. But I'm just interested to see your perspective on that. Like, do you think that would have a positive impact, or do you think it will just remain the same? Or
Well, to be honest with you, Dan, I think it would be very important because it would tell us that there is certain things we do not do. And if we see a wheelchair car park, we do not park our car there if we're mobile. If we're able to get out of the car and walk, we find another parking space because you need it more so than I do because of your situation. And I'd be very rude and I wouldn't be caring about you as a person. I just say, well, to hell with him, I'm going to park there anyway, which I shouldn't do. And yes, I should be given a slap on the wrist.
and do you think you've seen a societal change from, I don't know, 20, 30 years ago to now even? And do you think there might be a further shift in the future with regards to kind of disability rights, so to speak, and kind of the way disabled people are perceived in society?
I think it's a great idea, Dan, that there are people out there today who are standing up for their rights. And I think the government is beginning to listen for once in their life. They're beginning to see, because I think recently there was a program on television where 4 people took off one day in wheelchairs to see what it was like to get from their destination to their place of work. And it was quite a struggle, I can tell you. And these people they were fully mobile, but they sat in a wheelchair for one day to see what it's like to be in the other person's shoes.
And do you think their perspective from taking that challenge, do you think their perspective from a personal standpoint had changed after, or?
I definitely think there's been a great change because these people actually stepped into your shoes or my shoes for a day, and to realise that we just can't open the door, walk out and close the door behind us. We've got to, now when I'm coming out of my house, I've got to take this out, fold it up, put it outside the door, and it's even worse when I've got a pile of shopping on it. I have to take all my shopping off, I have to fold it up, lift it up, hoist it up, lift it down and get it inside the door. Now, I also suffer with a gammy heart, so I could easily have a mishap while I'm doing all this, where if I had my scooter up the ramp, in the door, end of story.
Thank you very, very much.
Thank you very much, Dan, and well done.
So there we had Marie Nolan from Tallaght, and it turns out that Marie used to work for RTE at one stage.
And she was great. Fairness now, I mean, she saw us wandering around the place with her little mics and her little Zoom recorder and headphones on, and she pounced on us.
She jumped straight at us, which is great.
It was great, and it really helped us on the day as well, because we were any kind of
only learning.
Chance in our arm, really. Didn't really know what we were up to, so it was great. But, you know, to be fair to what she was saying as well, I mean, you know, how much money is going to have to be spent now sort of maintaining somebody's health, where if they had actually spent the money on proper mobility at an earlier stage, you know, I suppose it's the argument for smoking. You know, if you spend a bit of money to get somebody to stop smoking, you're going to spend less money on them when they're having a heart attack and dying of lung cancer and stuff like that. So
exactly,
spend the money early, get people mobile, give them the things they need to get out, give them a better quality of life.
And she actually mentioned to us that she had a gammy heart, as she put it.
Gammy heart.
So yeah, no, I agree with what you're saying there.
So Dan, we'll have a look at the International Day of Persons with Disabilities.
Yes, that is happening on Monday, the 3rd of December. So that's this coming Monday.
Yeah, pretty big, pretty important.
Pretty important, exactly. This year's theme is based on empowering persons with disabilities and ensuring inclusiveness and equality
I like that. That is so wordy, and it is so. I don't mean wordy. I don't mean wordy as it's a wordy cause. It's just so wordy. So many fine words in there.
A lot of words.
Yeah, a lot of words. And I think I have a problem with this.
Yeah, but based on our discussions earlier,
yeah,
you,
I do,
you
and
do.
I kind of because I looked into this and I sat down last night and kind of logged on and had a little wander around the internet trying to see what the crack was and what's going on. Anyway, I'm not going to go any further than that with it because I probably would say the wrong thing. I think the UN is just hijacking people with disabilities for this.
Hijacking. When you mention hijacking, how?
I just mean they're hijacking disability, because if you dig into the goals,
yes,
it's not necessarily related to disability.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? It's fine. It's about world poverty. It's not about.
Well, that's one aspect. Well, yeah, I get it.
There's 17 goals on this.
Yeah.
And if you looked at each of the goals, they're not strictly about people with disabilities.
Yeah. Well, there is. I agree partially with that.
And I'm going to contradict myself.
Yeah, I agree partially with what you're saying there. There is one that I'm looking at. There it's. Oh my god, I can't read today. Reduced inequality. Sorry.
Yeah.
Goal which would be, in my opinion, related to people with disabilities, because the equality for people with disabilities is very important, and that kind of takes me back to this summer. I had the privilege of going to Austria, Vienna in Austria, for an EU
Shall I start yodeling now? My Lederhosen?
I haven't actually heard that before, so if you want to, go ahead.
No.
Okay. So I had the privilege of going over there and discussing the 11 EU youth goals that you can find on www.youthgoals.eu. And
so, were you on a jolly?
Was I on a jolly?
Yeah, let's go somewhere and get looked after and stuff like that. Was this something serious now?
No, this was proper serious stuff.
Right.
Which I was actually it was one of those situations that I applied and I was like, I want to try and experience this, but I never really expected it, because there was hundreds of people applying and there's only 3 delegates from each EU member state to go over. So I was kind of going, if this happens, amazing. If it doesn't, absolutely fine. And it happened. So it was absolutely incredible. Absolutely loved. But getting back to the main point, what we were discussing was the EU Youth Goals, as I mentioned. But this was the 3rd conference of the structured dialogue cycle. I was only there as part of the Vienna delegation. Our job in Austria was to look at the 11 youth goals and kind of go from both an EU perspective, but then a national perspective from an Irish point of view.
Right.
Of
so
how
everyone's bringing their little piece of the pot.
Yeah.
How it affects everybody else.
Of how we kind of implement it both on an EU level and on a national level, and it was an incredible experience. Like, we had structured dialogue sessions with EU ministers and things like that.
So you had access?
Yeah. I was at one point sitting at a table with the EU Commissioner on Youth, so that was
very good.
That was quite a special experience. And I think bringing it back to disability, I mean, you were saying earlier on that not a lot of the goals kind of mention disability outright, but I think the very fact that I was not allowed or accepted, but that my application was accepted to an event like this, kind of tells me that people in my situation discussing these issues is valued, and I have an opportunity to have my voice heard, and people with disabilities in general, their their input is valid,
Yeah.
so to speak, and I think that's incredibly important. And I think bring it back to the International Day of People with Disabilities in general, I think that's important for people to realize that they do, even if it doesn't feel like it, sometimes you do have an input and you do have a voice, and it's important that even if you can't use it in a conventional way, it still can be of value to people.
Yeah, no, I get that.
Yeah.
But what's been organised?
Yeah, I do get what you mean with that as well.
No, we've both seen the headlines. It's been in the news.
Yeah.
And that's great. And I think it is fantastic that, every opportunity should be embraced to shine a light on on disability and access and everything that goes with it. Not a lot happening. Not a lot going on. Maybe there is, but
Or not a lot that we would know about easily.
But easily is the thing, then. We talk about access, we talk about education, we talk about all of those things. If it's not getting out there, it's just not happening.
Yeah.
It kind of needs to be. But I mean, I know I said I'm going to contradict myself, because I did have a little route through it. And in the goals, I do talk about accessible cities.
Yeah.
And all of those things. And that is really, really important. That comes down to transport, that comes down to, here in Dublin, people have gone to Lewis, people have gone to Darragh. We discussed it last week or the week before.
Yeah.
And we're going to have a crack at it
this weekend.
This weekend, all going well. We're going to have a run at it ourselves. And I'll give you a little funny one. Sitting at home last night in the kitchen, and we're discussing it because I've got to get a pass to get out of the house at the weekend to go and do it. And having dinner, and my daughter, all of 11, said, "Yeah, can you not just drive in?" And I mean, it's not that simple. Dan's an independent young man. He should be able to go out his front door, get on the bus, get on the Lewis, and not have to plan. I said, we have got to plan this journey.
Yeah.
What bus you're going to get into town, where I'm going to meet you, that's fine. Anyone will have to do that.
Yeah.
Because, I'll see you in town. Big place. We have to plan that bit. But now we've got to plan what dart we're going to get.
Yes.
So we can tell Irish Rail in advance, which is what they've requested.
Yeah.
What dart we're going to be on. So they can definitely have somebody there to meet us. So that means they're going to have to definitely have somebody there at the other end when we get there to get us off.
Yeah.
Plus, we're going to have to tell them at the same time, pretty much, what time we're going to be coming back on what particular dart, and when we're going to be getting off. So
yeah.
When we talk about accessible cities, and that's just a conversation that we're having around our kitchen table of how difficult.
Yeah.
It is. So yes, accessible cities. I understand that. I kind of get that as well.
Yeah, no, and that was when we were over one of the days we had different workshops, and it was kind of you go around kind of goals that spoke to you, I suppose, and discuss your opinions on them and try to formulate plans of how to implement them. And one of the two of the ones that kind of stuck out to me from the EU Youth Goals were inclusive societies, for obvious reasons.
Yeah.
And I think it was equality employment or quality education. It might have been three of them even. Quality employment and quality education, because I think that's when I think all of them put together.
Yeah,
and
it is. It's a job. That's fine. Okay, Dan, you go over there and pack that box in the corner. Dan's got a job.
Yeah.
Company's got a tick in the box. We've met our quota for disabled people. because of the EU or whatever and stuff like that. But is the job worth anything? And I think, and I picked it up somewhere, and I robbed it off somebody else. Like, its disability is not inability.
Yeah.
So it's the quality of that job. Is it worthwhile? Are you fulfilled in the job? You know what I mean? It's not like just because you're in a wheelchair doesn't mean you can't.
Exactly. And it just occurred to me this afternoon, actually, because I was looking up kind of info on International Day of Disabilities, and there was a lot of quotes on disability from different people, and I'm a sucker for my quotes. Love my quotes.
Okay, I love good quotes actually. Yeah.
And one that just came into my mind earlier on was disable your disability, and I don't know where it came from, and I don't know why that came out, but it just made sense.
Yeah, it does
to me, and it's one of those. I say it and then I have nothing else to follow up with, but
no, it's fine. Disabled yours, and it is, but it kind of that'll bring another one of the goals from the UN goals, and they talk about ICT. So, information communication technology.
Right.
Where it's bringing us, and why. So like let's say a blind person can pay a bill online. Through voice command and stuff like that.
Yes.
All of the good things that technology should be able to bring us, and is. I mean, you can assist it through your phone. You can read a text, or you can have the phone read the text on your phone out loud to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, okay, I do kind of get the goals to some degree. All right, I know I was giving out about them, and I did say I was going to contradict myself. But those things are important. Let me see. What else? Let's give it. Deaf people using caption subtitles, and this is say videos on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
To be able to learn a new skill, that's important. So that comes back, I suppose, to somewhere in the middle of this. There's a bit about education as well, quality education. Do you have to go to college? No, you don't have to go to college, but you should at least be able to sit at home, like anybody else, and do a distance learning course. If your disability is restricting you from movement, there's no reason that you can't be able to do it online, whether it's through assisted technology and stuff like that. So I did say I was going to contradict myself, and I have. I have no problem with that. I'm quite proud to have done that.
That's perfectly okay. That's all right.
Yeah, I don't know.
But no, we just thought we'd bring it up, and I think my main message towards it is just if you are out there and you're listening and you do have a disability, don't be afraid to speak up and to be you, and to I know I said disable your disability earlier on, but I suppose embrace it as well.
Yeah.
And the greatest disservice you can do to yourself is not being you. I believe. So.
Yeah, no, I get you there then. Next week I do, and it's something that kind of passed me by this week that I do want to have a look at next week if we can.
Yeah.
Sports inclusion in Ireland.
Yes.
It came up. There is a new disability charter for sports inclusion in Ireland.
Excellent.
So we're gonna want to have a look at that. We'll have a discussion about that next week.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, 'cause there's a lot going on out there.
Yeah, and we'll also be having a chat with a group from Bray, the Bray Rollers Youth Club in. I'm saying Bray 3 times in one.
Yeah, that's okay. Yeah.
But no, we're looking forward to that.
Just outside Bray.
Just outside Bray. There you go. And we're looking forward to chatting to them about what makes them tick.
Absolutely. I've been Darragh McNicholas.
And I've been Dan Airy, and thank you very much for listening. We'll talk to you soon.
Take care.